Instant Web Celeb is here to help small business owners and entrepreneurs grow their online social following and garner more traffic and engagement to their accounts. Whether you're an entrepreneur, run an online blog, or simply want to grow your profile, we will market your social media account and help you build your online presence by gaining you more followers and likes on all social media sites. Visit instantwebceleb.com today to see instant growth to your social media profile and use coupon code WEBCELEB for a 10% discount. Become the next instant web celeb now. instantwebceleb.com.
Welcome, guys, to this week's episode of the Level X Podcast. As always, I am your host, Young D. David.
My name is Jesus.
Guys, man, and I'm happy to be reporting this, man, but there has been news. There has been news, Jesus, that we are back and rolling. Yeah, man. So this week is exciting for us. It's going to be interesting, just how we're already, I think I'm back in my rhythm. So I feel like the more I get in tune with my rhythm, the better podcast or the better quality the podcast is.
So this is you saying that the podcast will only get better from now on.
Exactly. And what I'm saying is that we have a lot in store for the listeners today. If you guys did listen to last week's episode and you guys thought it was shit, don't worry, guys. The podcast will get better from here on out. But let them know what we have in store for them today.
We are going to be discussing the book that I read in the past week, because I actually finished the book in this past week. Thank the sweet Lord Jesus. And then David has a great article that I think will really be helpful to our listeners that he's also going to discuss. And then after that, we have a couple of articles, or I guess news pieces, that we just found fascinating and that we want to share with you guys. And lastly, of course, we will be answering a question that we found online. Now, unfortunately, no one did email us this past week. No worries, though. We will be providing value to a lucky online user later on this podcast. But for now, David, if you want to go ahead and inform the viewers why you will not be discussing a book in case they didn't not listen to last week's podcast.
Of course. The only reason I am not discussing a book for this week, and maybe until 2 weeks from now, because I am reading epic poem by Homer called the Iliad. I think you mentioned it last week.
Yeah.
But I am reading this huge epic poem. If you guys don't know, it's a Greek mythology / historic writing or literature, and it's basically very, very long. That's basically the gist of it. It's more than 700 pages long, and while I am about roughly closing in on my 300 page mark, it is still a long book. So instead of draining myself out and trying to read the most, I'm taking my time with it.
And that's why David will instead be discussing an article. But no matter, still providing a lot of value to you guys this on the episode 13 of the Level X Podcast. But might as well, let's just dive right into it. So I'm going to switch things up a bit. I'm actually going to go ahead and talk first on my book. So my book is called The Lean Startup by Eric Ries. Now, if you're thinking about starting a business, or if you're already in a business but you see that your business is kind of stagnating a bit, this is where Eric Ries and his book come in. Now, I'm sure this was a bestseller. Unfortunately, I never had the time to read it up until now. But a quickie review before I get into my actual review.
Yeah.
This book was not as good as I thought it was going to be, man. Unfortunately, that is the case sometimes. Maybe I built the book up too much in my own mind. I thought it was going to be super resourceful and super applicable to our current situation.
Now, also, it's before you get more into it, is it also maybe, does it have to do that you're not in that certain situation where the book is applicable to to your situation? That's why you're rating it a little bit lower?
I think maybe because, as Eric described it, this book isn't like a step-by-step on everything. It's more like of a general layout. Like he brings in the framework, but he doesn't give you step-by-step instructions on how to apply everything. So I think you gotta take the knowledge and kind of twist it and see how it can work towards your advantage. So maybe that's why. But even then, he used a lot of examples that I feel it didn't really apply to our current situation. But I'll get into that a little bit further on in my review. Just to start things out, when you're starting out, of course, for me, the thing that stuck out was the title itself, the Lean Startup. Now, what constitutes as a startup? Because this book is meant for a specific group of people, and those are the people that are, of course, either wanting to build a startup or currently already have a startup and are looking to build on their sales or just grow into like some kind of enterprise or anything like that, or just build a steady foundation. But anyways, Eric Ries describes a startup as a human institution designed to create a new product or service under conditions of extreme uncertainty. So that's a key word there, uncertainty. With a startup, you just never know whether someone is going to come out and beat you, steal your idea, or maybe just when you first put that startup into the market, the customers aren't flocking in like you expected. So it's always uncertain whether you're either going to blow up and be successful, or you're just going to completely fail and flounder and you're going to lose all the money that you invested. So very uncertain, and that means it's very, very scary in my opinion. But that's what the book wants to do. It wants to help those uncertain entrepreneurs out there build kind of this foundation of steadiness, and he really helps to bring a process to the madness. Moving on, the whole layout of this book is based on this idea of building, measuring, and learning. So this is where I will have the biggest flaw with the book, is that I think a lot of the times this book panders more to startups that are already a little bit established. He uses a lot of examples where these startups they have a team of people, they're already in some kind of office, and a lot of the times they already had initial success, but they're kind of stagnating a bit. And I think he writes his book more to appease to those people rather than to people who are barely starting out. I think he one time uses an example of people who are barely starting out, but I can only recall one instance where that happened. I think a lot of the times he uses examples that will apply more to people who already have had some initial success, unfortunately.
Well, I don't think that's unfortunately, man, because I think that's actually a great thing. Because I was actually watching an interview with Gary Vaynerchuk. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Mm-hmm. And he was actually speaking, I forgot, it was at a California college, right? And it was in the entrepreneurship college of the university.
Yeah.
And he was talking to them, and they were all entrepreneur students. And he was telling them that at the end of the day, they're not going to learn anything from going to school. And it was crazy because this guy is actually speaking at a school, telling the entrepreneur kids that, hey, you know what? You're never going to learn anything here. Yeah, they teach you probably like I guess you can say fundamentals. But if you just basically just get that knowledge and you don't use it, there's no point. Right. So if you think about it, it's like, yeah, there's probably millions of books out there that can basically tell you the fundamentals.
Yeah. But
they're never gonna get you to step out of that little zone of yours to put action. It's like you have to put in the work, and that's why this dude decided to do that. Like that's why probably Eric, was like, well, you know what? I'm not gonna even mess with the dudes that don't even try.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna start messing with the guys that are actually putting in work and actually going out there and creating their own startups. So I think that's actually a good thing because it weedles out the people that don't put action.
No, yeah, that's actually definitely a great way to look at it, man. Because at first I was having issues because I think me and you, we're not established or anything, but we're definitely not barely beginning. I think we're in this kind of weird limbo where we're on the right path, but we're not to a certain point yet where we can call ourselves somewhat established. Either way, I do know that the stuff in here is applicable to us. I just have to kind of, like I said, twist it and see how it can fit us, because Eric doesn't provide step-by-step instructions on how to apply everything. He kind of just gives you a layout, and you got to see how you can work that into your own startup. But moving on, I like how you said that you have to kind of go out there and try everything for yourself. You can't really expect someone to teach you how to do everything, and that's kind of what this book is. It's more of a, here, go do it yourself and learn from not necessarily your mistakes, but learn from your experiences. And that's what Eric, I think he's a very big advocate on that, trying things and seeing if they work in the market, because he says one of the key things towards startup success is innovation, that you're supposed to consistently bring new innovation to the market. And that's how a lot of people, they grow stagnant, and that's how businesses die out, because they're not consistently innovating. And that's what he says a big issue with entrepreneurs is today. They grow this business and they become comfortable with it, but instead of like saying, all right, I found this great idea, it's time to move on to the next big idea, they want to just keep reworking the same idea over and over again and improving on it instead of building something new. And in today's world, man, with so many people out there wanting to become entrepreneurs and wanting to get rid of that 9 to 5, there's constantly new innovation, new ideas. And if you don't stick with that, like, building new ideas, you're going to get beat by everyone else. Moving on from that idea, he does institute this build, measure, learn loop, where he says that with innovation, he says you got to have a vision. And if where you are right now isn't really correlating to your vision or your ideal, then you gotta change. He calls it a pivot. You gotta pivot, and you gotta rework the structure of your startup to get on the same track as to where you want to go. So he uses that build, measure, learn loop to kind of get you there. He says that every time you think of something new, you gotta see if it fits your ideal first, and then once you think it does fit your ideal, whether it's a new service or a new product, you got to build it and you got to test it, and you got to learn from that test. So he really breaks it down into a scientific manner, and he really is a big advocate on learning through your experiences. Moving on from that, I think the big overall goal towards this book is to eliminate waste from your business. And by eliminating waste, he describes it as lean thinking defines value as providing benefits to the customer. Anything else is waste. So if everything you're doing is not providing value to your customers, then you got to let all that go, man. Because when you're in a lean startup, man, you really got to utilize all your resources to their max potential. And if something isn't really being utilized to help your customer, then you're just wasting your time with it, and you're wasting everyone else's time. He's very blunt about it, and I really like that. He's kind of like, I'm gonna tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. So it's really cool that Eric Ries, it just feels like he actually wants to help out, man. But anyways, for me, what I got from this book is that there's gonna be times where you have to think of new ideas, but a lot of the times people, they spend so much time thinking about an idea, planning for that idea, and they're taking all this time just to plan it. Let's say they're creating a service or whatever, they're adding something new to their business and they're adding this new service, and they spend 6 months thinking about it, planning it, making sure everything's perfect for the launch, and when they launch it, it's a complete flop. So they wasted 6 months planning, let's say another 3 months making sure the service is in tip-top shape. That's 9 months there. And finally, after those 9 months, it completely fails. No one signs up for the service. No one wants the service. You just wasted 9 months of your time creating something that basically no one wanted. So instead of wasting those 9 months, Eric Ries tells you to reformat your business so that you can bring out that service in 3 months. Even though it might not be perfect, even though there might be a lot of glitches in that service, a lot of things that aren't perfect, if you pull it out in 3 months, even though it might not be perfect, at least you're getting valuable information from the customer market. First of all, you may find out whether they even want that service, and if they do, then they can finally tell you, oh, well, look, this doesn't work, and you're getting valuable information instead of waiting those 9 months. So it's really about lean thinking and really utilizing all your resources to their best potential. And if something isn't providing value to your customers, then you got to let it go, and in the long run you will be saving yourself time and you will be saving yourself vital resources. So ultimately, I think there is a lot of value in this book to be found, although, like I said, it's more of a layout, doesn't really provide step by step, and it panders more to people who already are a bit established. So if you're looking to, because when I found this book, the way I read the title is like the lean startup. It's teaching you how to build a lean startup, but that's not what it is. It's actually helping you. Well, I guess it is helping you to learn how to build one, but it's not teaching you how to build it from the ground up. You really already have to have a vision, and then it helps you kind of bring this lean startup method into your already created startup. So either way, I still think is very valuable, especially if you're already currently seeing somewhat success towards your business, because even though I do talk about some of the key concepts in this book, there's just so much knowledge in here that I think it'll be very helpful, whether either it is to measure your success thus far or to build something sustainable for the long term. So definitely check out The Lean Startup by Eric Ries. Me personally, I will rate it a 7.6. But
very low, man. Very low.
It's somewhat low. But like I said, man, maybe it's just it was my first time reading it front and back, so I'll definitely go over all my notes, all my highlights, and see what I can pick apart from it. So who knows, but for now, 7.6.
So great summary, great rating from Jesus. I'm still gonna read the book because me and you have different tastes, man. But like I said, since I didn't read a book, I wasn't gonna leave you guys empty-handed. I never do. So I did come across an article by the Fast Company. If you guys don't know the website, definitely go. They have amazing articles on anything, from entrepreneurship to leadership. It's just a great website in case you guys enjoy listening to our podcast or even enjoy our content. You're definitely going to enjoy this. I seriously go there sometimes when I'm looking for articles to read. And this one, I came across this article by Stephanie Balza. Now, this was an amazing article because when I select articles, I select them that contribute or that relate to my life. Basically, how they categorize their articles first is they put it into categories. So this one is on the category of how to be a success at everything. And this one is titled 6 Habits of People Who Make Friends Easily. And then how she starts it off is amazing, because if you guys didn't know, because I know I'm like this currently, and I don't know if you are, Jesus, but sometimes I'm like, yeah, you know what? I don't really need friends. Like, I just need myself, and I just need my family, and I make excuses for not
getting out there and being social.
Exactly, or by not putting effort towards the friendships that I have or whatever to make them stronger.
Yeah.
But Harvard did create like a study, and that's how she opens it up, saying that if you don't have like strong relationship bonds with people, or if you don't have friends, it increases your risk of premature death from all causes by 50%. So that's basically if you're smoking 15 cigarettes a day. That's how bad it is if you don't have friends. And there's a lot of bad stigma if you don't have friends. And it kind of makes sense, dude, because we are social beings at the end of the day. We did come from tribes, and socializing and friendships and relationships, at the end of the day, they are vital to who we are as a species.
No, I don't mean to interrupt you, but now when it says friends, in your opinion, does family count as friendships? Because, is she talking more like, it increases your chances if you're like completely alone, like a little hermit in your apartment, or just socializing in general?
No, like actual friends. Definitely, like your family can be considered as friends, but if you think about it, like friends is when sometimes you go out in the middle of the week somewhere with them and have a coffee, and you start laughing and you start talking. Mm-hmm. And sometimes with family, you don't actually get to do those things. I don't know. It depends on what type of family members you have.
Yeah.
But in most cases, you're not with your family 100% of the time, So in those times that you're not, and a lot of people don't even have family members, so that's what it means by friendships. You have to develop those friendships, and sometimes they go beyond just having family members around. So there are 6 habits, and I'm going to share them with you only because they relate to my life, and I don't want you guys to die. But like me, myself, these are some things that I am definitely going to implement, because I want to do that. I want to, not like I said, I want to just not only give you guys articles or read on books, but I actually want to take action. Sometimes I do lack in that, and I think that's kind of bad of me to just be spouting and preaching when sometimes I don't even do the things. So I think this is a way for me to take accountability for the things that I talk about. So I am definitely going to try to implement some of these habits into my life. And then, maybe if you guys implement them, we can talk about them. You can hit us up on our Twitter account, lvlxpodcast. If you guys don't follow us, follow us. But let's dive into the article, man. The first habit is be approachable. If, when it comes to like dating, relationships, anything, the first impression, they always say that, man. The first impression is what matters. And I think that's so true. It's like if you're walking at a grocery store and you see someone, frowning, they have this mad look.
I think they call it, for girls, they call it a bitch face.
Yeah, but I'm not talking even about girls. I'm talking just in general.
Just
like
as an example, though, like a girl.
Whatever. So I'm saying you're not going to want to approach that person. So that's the same thing, man. If you have bad posture, if you're frowning all the time,
slump
shoulders, mad look on your face, that kills your approachability, man. And that goes, if you're just looking for friends, or even if you want even girls to approach you, man, you gotta make yourself more open to approachability. And by that is like stand up straight, smile, great eye contact. So there's a lot of things that you can implement, but like I said, the first impression is key. So the first habit is become more approachable. Number 2 is get involved in the activities you enjoy. So as you get older, you start learning, or you start actually knowing as to what type of person you are, what type of things you like. And that's actually great, because that decides what type of friends you want around you. Back when you were younger, you would just accept anyone into your little clique or whatever. So by getting involved in the activities you enjoy, you get to make new friends that share a common interest. And there's amazing websites for this, man. I know that there's like meet.com or meetup.com. There's also gofindfriends.com. So there's like a bunch. Also, you can use like your Facebook groups. I know that on Reddit there's like so many different little subreddits for a specific city. So there's a bunch of varieties of ways. You just gotta get out there. So I think that's something that I need to implement, is that even if I'm not going out socializing, because sometimes that's one of my excuses. Sometimes it's too hot. There's barely anything to do here. Well, there's meetup.com. There's a bunch of different activities that you can do that you might actually enjoy, that you can find people with the common interest.
Or even just out there doing sports, because me and you always talk about joining some kind of sports team. So even you can do that in your city.
Exactly. And also it's cool because if you start doing sports or something that you enjoy, that's an easy way to start up a conversation on something that you both enjoy. Number 3 is have a positive attitude. No one likes whiny people. No one likes people that drains them down every time.
I remember one time I told David, "Hey bro, you're too negative for me, man. I'm gonna drop you."
Yeah, and there's a great quote from the actual article itself, is that researchers have found that if you say good things about other people, people tend to remember you as having those positive qualities. So, just be a positive person, man. And this goes beyond just finding friendships. That just goes as to the type of person you should aim for, man. Becoming a positive person. There's no reason for you to be negative all the time. There's problems, there's shit that happens in people's lives. But are you going to,
sulk about that?
Yeah. And make, we only have like 2 billion seconds in this world. And are you going to spend, how many seconds just pouting about some bad shit that happens to everyone? There's no point. Number 4 is don't wait for others to make the first move. And this is something that I definitely struggle with, is that I don't like, maybe it's my pride, maybe it's my ego, but I hate looking like the needy person in any type of situation. So when in my eyes, it's like, if I try making the first move, it makes me look weak, I guess you can say, in my eyes. But like I said, maybe that's a bad thing, and that's what they say right here, is that just go for it. What's the worst that can happen?
And that's just part of, I think, being a guy, man. You gotta be assertive, and you gotta have confidence in yourself. A lot of the times, it's gonna be a guy who has to go approach a girl. Very rarely is it the opposite way.
Exactly. And what it says in the article is that you got to find out what people need and give it to them, and that's how you build relationships. It says figure out what other people want and help them get it, and you predispose them to see you as a potential friend. It's the same, and I think this is like a little small insight as to how like everyone eats together. What's that book called?
Damn, what is it called? Never Eat Alone or something.
Exactly,
like
Never Eat Alone. I forgot the author, but that book was amazing, man. Because I think this is kind of like what it talks about.
Yeah.
It talks about being able to help people without any like expectations back or any type of like reward.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and I think this is what's key about it, is that you need to help people out. And then they're gonna look you in that, wow, this guy helped me out. I should repay him.
You should never expect it, but
that's how people are.
Yeah,
like
exactly,
if you give a favor, you have a tendency to return that favor. Number 5 is follow up. Like I said, exactly what the book says.
Hey, that was from the book.
Exactly.
What the hell?
This is like, just hit them up saying this was such fun, and I'd like to get to know you better. Could we schedule this? Could we schedule something later this week? Just make a suggestion, man. Send an email, send a text. Put effort into your relationships, and that means like friendships, family members. Just follow up with them after you hit them up. That just shows that you actually care about the person. It puts you, again, like I said, in that positive limelight.
And then just a quick side note: when we actually read that book, we were in the process of like meeting with a lot of artists in our city for our YouTube channel, and we actually implemented that, like that whole always lend a hand and never expect anything in return, and then always follow up. After every meeting, we would always follow up. I'm not sure if they viewed us in a certain like positive light, but I do definitely know that it did help build that relationship with certain artists, so it was cool.
Exactly. And one last thing that the article does add is that don't let time go by without you hitting them up. Don't let them, because consistency is key, it says.
Yeah.
So don't let like 2 months go by, or even like 2 weeks. Hit them up like, I don't know, 2 days after, or even that same night. Like that's what we would do, either that night or even the next morning. We will hit them up, thanking them for giving us their time. And it just shows, like I said, that you care about that other person and their time.
Exactly.
Last but not least, it says say yes to invitations, even if you want to say no. It says people who make friends easily view events as opportunities to meet people.
Perfect.
And this is also a bad thing with me, is that sometimes I'm like, nah, I make excuses because I don't want to. I don't know what it is. Yeah,
that's what I always tell you that.
It's not necessarily an uncomfortable position, but because sometimes it's not necessarily that I don't want to be put in that uncomfortable situation. It's that I just don't want to do it.
You don't want to put that effort in. You find it easier to.
Yeah, I find it easier not to get ready, not to actually drive somewhere. Maybe it is. It's not necessarily that it's uncomfortable. It's just that I find my position more comfortable than that other position.
Exactly.
But like I said, that's bad, because in your eyes, if you want to make friends, you got to put yourself out there and you got to reach out to those people.
And it's just, you never know what can happen, man. That just getting like, for whatever, like that event or whatever, that's where you can meet your future wife, man. However unlikely it is always possible.
I don't know why we're talking about marriage, man. But this is,
sorry, man.
To end this article off, this is an amazing way how this article ends. And like I said, check out Fast Company, great articles. And it says, remind yourself to choose based on what you value or hope for, not based on how you feel in the moment.
Perfect.
It says, or she says, the author, It says, lastly, like exercise, if left to only when we felt like it, we'd often opt out for a quiet night instead of a chance to connect. So, like exercise, man, sometimes you don't feel like going going to the gym, putting in that effort, that sweat, that burning sensation, but once we get out, we're like, we're damn glad that we actually
exactly,
went.
man. It's always like that for some reason. You just never want to do it at first, but once you put yourself in that situation, you have no choice but to adapt.
Exactly.
So that's what's gonna happen, man. And more often than not, you are gonna have a great. If you're out there looking for a good time, you're more than likely going to find it. That's just the way I look at it, man. Reading that book, I think it was that. I was gonna say Kevin Owens' book. No, Tyler Owens' book, RSD Tyler.
Yeah.
That book that I read on pickup. Yeah, there was one specific phrase that he said that you just never know what can happen if you go out and shit like that or something like that. But it's just perfect. That's a great way to describe it.
Yeah, man. And that was my article for the week. Regardless, like I said, regardless if I don't read, you guys know that I am going to put an effort into providing you guys great content. And like I said, I'm going to put a little bit more effort in implementing these habits into my life. And then I can keep you guys updated, man. I don't know. Maybe I'll go on a date with another dude, or I don't know.
What the fuck?
As in, like, friends and shit.
Okay, well, you said date, man. That's always romantic. Not that I have anything against gay people, but you're not gay, so I was just finding it a little weird.
I don't know, like a bro date, or maybe,
a bro date.
Let's see what
go to brunch.
Yeah. Nah, man, but in all seriousness, I'm definitely gonna implement some of these things into my life and see how it goes. And I definitely highly recommend that you guys implement that as well. If you guys don't have any type of friends, put yourself out there. There's a lot of websites in case you're like an introvert. There's a lot of websites where you can sign up and just go out there, enjoy your night. And like I said, don't look for rewards, but look to reward other people in the sense that lend a ear to listen, put in an effort to fill people's needs. So go out, guys, implement some of these habits, live the life you want to live. Besides that, Jesus, where are we going next with this?
Well, going based off that live your life the way you want to live it, there's actually if you ever followed like the first couple of episodes, we always used to talk about seduction, going out to talking to girls. Now that actually faded away from us since we decided to focus more heavily on our businesses and improving our success. But as far as the whole dating scene goes, we every so often we do watch some RSD videos online, and recently we've been watching RSD Max because he's releasing a new program called The Natural. Now he's been releasing like these little 15-minute cuts from the program, and man, they're pretty fantastic. Not only does he actually like give us infield footage on him picking up girls, but he also just the way like he talks to the viewers, it's super chill, man. And I don't know, like I'm looking like I might have to invest in The Natural. We've actually invested previously into other RSD programs. We did the RSD Tyler's program. That was pretty cool, David. But this new program by Max are you more interested in this one? Because we've at least tried to complete one before, and I don't know how well you think that went.
They're definitely insightful, man. That's for sure. Just listening to Max, and Max is definitely one of my favorite RSD instructors. And the top three in my eyes are definitely, obviously Tyler, and then Julian, and then to me Max. And the only reason I think is that, and he actually mentions this in one of the videos, is that relatability, man. He makes it so easy to relate to him, and he brings this type of new shit to the pickup community in the sense that you can straight up tell that he's his own person.
He doesn't have like an ego or nothing.
Yeah, he's not. I feel like he's not faking it. He knows he brings in like his love for like music or metal, his love for like movies and shit like that. Like he brings a little personality to it.
Basically.
Exactly. So just watching this is definitely something that definitely interests me, man. Because like I said, he is turning into one of my favorite R&D instructors. So I know it does come out like tomorrow, I believe.
Yeah, or I think today or something like that.
Yeah, today at midnight or something. But I definitely recommend it. If you guys don't know, check out his other stuff. Check out his YouTube channel.
We do post his links on our Level X Twitter account. We posted like 2 of his videos already.
Yeah, and I think the only other reason that I relate to him is that, he reads a lot too. So I think all of the RSD people read.
Yeah.
But like I said, definitely watch his YouTube channel. We had to mention it because we've been watching it for the last 3-4 days, and they're all cool. They're very entertaining.
Yeah, they're super entertaining.
But
man.
you definitely pick up some knowledge even from those small clips.
And just 2 things before we move on to our next topic. One, RSD Max is just super cool. Like we said, or David said last week, if you ever want to go ahead and try to improve on yourself, look for someone to look up to, or look for someone that you kind of aspire to become. RSD Max is definitely not a bad choice in that aspect, man. If you like, his vibe is super chill. He's super like funny, and he doesn't take himself too seriously, I think, and that's what helps him out in the pickup game. And 2, this most recent video, because he's putting out 5 videos, or 1 video every day for 5 days, and his most recent one, 4 out of 5, he actually says how just a year ago or 2 years ago, he was like $30,000 in debt. He went to a club with like taped up shoes, 2 holes in his jeans or his shorts, and like a white tee. And the video, he didn't even talk to a girl. He just like
let them watch it, man.
Watch it. But just that whole aspect, that at that moment when he picked her up, he was like dead broke. He was basically like just following Tyler around with no pay, and he was still living life, man, and enjoying it. So no matter how bad your situation might be, it's never an excuse to not live your life to the fullest potential. But anyways, just super inspirational there, man. RSD Max, legend. But moving on to lighter subjects, I just want to before we do the question of the day, I wanted to bring up this very quick article that I found, that I actually posted on a Level X Twitter account, which talked about how there was this study done, the title of the article is New Evidence That Mindfulness Meditation Reduces Stress by Altering Brain Connectivity.
Well, I think we already knew that, man.
Well, we already knew that, but just in case anyone was ever, because even though we know that, I still don't regularly meditate. I try to like twice, and even though I did feel some sort of calmness, I stopped for whatever reason. But I don't know, just maybe some people are still skeptical towards meditation, like, oh, well, it doesn't really help me out, or it's pointless, like I don't need that. Everyone feels stress at some point in their life, man, and sometimes people turn to alcohol, they turn to drugs. Not saying that those are necessarily bad things in small doses, but it's those times where you really, really feel stressed that you might pick up a bad habit or something like that. So meditation is always a way to combat that stress. You don't always have to turn to harmful substances to feel a sense of calmness. So definitely check out this article. Like I said, we did post it on the Level X Twitter account, so check it out, man. It's very insightful, and like I said, this was an actual study done on brain activity when you meditate. So super, super cool, man. And I don't know, I think it might help some people out, just in case you do experience a lot of stress in your life and you don't know how to combat it besides alcohol or drugs. But yeah, man, go check it out. Follow us on our Level X Twitter account. But David, the moment people have all been clamoring about, it is time for the question of the day, man. So if you want to go ahead and read it out loud for all the viewers to listen to, man, just drink it in, man.
Who the fuck are you? So like I said, we're gonna end this off, by you guys just relaxing, just driving. I don't know where you guys are going, but just calm down and listen. So the question of the day, and this is gonna be a little bit different, man, because there is a situation, but I'm reading the underlying themes in this question, so I'm gonna ask you.
Okay.
So then, user goes by saying that I am spending the weekend with my boyfriend's family. How do I take this opportunity to get down or to get to know them a little bit better? She says that she is going to spend, like I said, spend it with their boyfriend's family. And they have met before. But she wants to, add a little bit more connectivity to the relationship, or a little bit more deepness into the relationship, better. And I think that's a great thing first, because as a girlfriend, by you trying to get to know the family or get more involved in the family, I think that's a great thing, man. I think that's a great thing. So she goes, is there anything I can do to prepare for connecting to these people better? What to ask or what to talk about? I love it if you can give me specific questions to use as conversation starters. How can I participate actively when someone is telling a story? Anything else I should think about? So, like I said, that is the question of the day. Relationships. Today's topic or today's theme is on relationships and how, like, in this particular situation, how can she become closer to her boyfriend's family?
Okay, well, I'm gonna start off by saying two things. First, 1 and 1.5. First, I'm gonna say
1.5.
I'm gonna give you
1.5.
I'm gonna give you 2.5 pieces of advice. 1.5. The first 0.5 piece is do not always stay next to your boyfriend throughout the trip, and don't stay quiet. That's one of the worst things you can do on whether even if you're at your boyfriend's house or especially on vacation. Do not stick next to your boyfriend the whole time, because that's how they might come to see you. They just, she's always with her boyfriend. Like first,
what if she feels uncomfortable? Like, cause
it's always gonna be uncomfortable.
So in your your situation, what if it was you were going on a trip with and then with her family, and then she's like, all right, I'm gonna leave you with my cousins right here. I'll be back.
Well, that's what has to happen, man. First of all, she wants to be closer to these people. At least it looks like she wants to be closer to these people. And if she doesn't, well, then she shouldn't have gone on that trip anyways. Either way, it's a bad look to always be stuck like a snail to your significant other in any scenario, man. Especially if you're trying to become closer to these people, you got to interact with them. And one of the ways to not do that is by staying quiet and sticking right next to your significant other. The second thing I have to say is, whenever you're in conversation with anyone, calibrate. Me personally, I'm like kind of a jokester around my own family, and especially like maybe not other people's families, but
what about
especially
like ex-girlfriends, ex-relationships when you met their families.
Well, that's I didn't
from experience, man.
Well, that's the thing, man. I didn't have those experiences very often, so I can't really talk from experience. But I can talk from my own experience with my family. Like, I can definitely be joking around with them, but I know especially like when to kind of tone it down. So, let's say she's a very humorous person, like maybe a little crass when with their jokes. You gotta know when it's the right time to say something like stupid. But you also got to know when it's time to kind of, tone it down and have an intimate conversation with someone. For some reason, I picture them going to the woods or something, like, because we went to a vacation ourselves, like, go to the woods. And that's how I feel. Like, that's how I feel her vacation is going to be. Maybe they're just going to fucking Disneyland or some shit. Yeah. But for me, I'm thinking about it like you're going out to the woods. It's going to be intimate, and it's going to be just somewhere where the whole family is going to be relaxing, and you're going to have times to actually have intimate conversations with other people. But that's just my two pieces of advice. Don't always stay next to your boyfriend, and then whenever you're talking to someone, just calibrate. Don't be rude or anything like that. Just kind of see the situation and see how you're supposed to be reacting to these people.
Yeah, man. That's pretty good advice. I was gonna say is, I think all individuals, or when it comes to people, they're all kind of the same when it comes to I feel like everyone at the end of the day is human, and as humans we love being fond to people, we love relationships, we love feeling connected to people. And as a person, you have to know how to target those areas. You gotta know more, you gotta know more about them, because at the end of the day, people, like I said, are all kind of alike in the sense that we love talking about ourselves. We love when people glows us up, just like that. So, listen, compliment them, just little small things like that, like actually listen, ask questions ask like good questions about how what you're listening about, And you're like, well, what type of question should I ask? Well, that's why you listen. You listen and you just try to get clarification on it. If you want actual deep relationships, and most of the times, like, parents are pretty cool in the sense that they know you're just the boyfriend or the girlfriend, but by playing around with them, you can be in that playful mood with them. And that's how I am too, man. When it comes to, like, well, back then I was a little bit more naive, you can say. So I didn't really give two shits, I guess you can say, when it came to
about connecting and shit.
About connecting, about this. But I know now, like, as you get older, like that, like being able to go to your significant other's family and being able to be like in this cool playful mood with them, I think that's a good thing, because it shows to your significant other that you appreciate their family as much as you appreciate yours, and just shit like that. It just shows effort. So what I would just suggest you do is, play to those emotions, man. People love having fun. People love being heard. People love when they get to talk about themselves. And if you do that, they'll look at you as, oh, look, I love when this person is around because I have good feelings when she's around. Oh, you should invite her more often because, I get to talk about myself. Someone actually gets to listen to me. That's what I would just suggest you do, because people are all mostly the same when it comes to, like, communication, when it comes to relationships. People love talking about themselves when people listen to them, and when people are engaged, they just feel good. So as long as you make them feel good, I think that's the key. Just put it in your back of the mind, like, well, if the roles were reversed, what would you want them to say? Yeah, how would you want, like, a listener of yours to perceive you and shit like that, or to listen to you? I think that's it, man. It's really simple. There's no hard things, and this goes beyond just family members. This goes to anything,
just relationships in general and communicating.
Yeah, man. But that ends this episode of the Level X podcast. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Next week, like I said, we're gonna be getting better and better. Go check out this latest on iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Go check out our website. We recently already released our new website. Obviously, that's gonna get better as well.
And I was gonna say, man, I'm super excited about that website, man. Clean design. I installed everything myself. JK, David helped me out, but
but it's not fully developed the way we wanted to. But right now, it's definitely still working. So if you guys, want to find our newest stuff, definitely go to our website, VNCT.co. That's gonna be that's the parent company of all our businesses. Vincent. So VNCT.co. That's where you'll find the latest podcast. And like I said, we're still developing the website as we go, but it is functional once and for all. So that's something we're doing this past week. Besides that, thank you guys for listening. Click that like button, and we will see you guys next week.
Peace out.